أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear sisters and brothers, the African community around the world, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are talking and continuing talking about the family issues because last program, June the 7th, it was highly welcomed by the community. So we continue for several weeks, we continue about the family issues. This is important because family is the smallest unit of a society, and the purpose of a family in Islam is to live in harmony, peace, solidarity, progress, happiness. That's why we want to establish a family. But unfortunately, as you know, in Canada, as well as in the United States and Europe, there are many families who split, divorced, children become miserable in this and that. In this program, I like to tell you a few facts about our marriage situation in Europe, Canada, and United States or Australia, all these Western societies that we live in. In the state of California, registration of your marriage is not law. I mean, you can live with a woman without any certificate, without a nikah, without any official document. In the past, when I was officiating nikah, of course, I was asking for registration. But later I found out that that's not a required thing when we do the nikah, an Islamic nikah. However, Islamic nikah is just a traditional religious issue among people. It's not a valid document, official document in the United States. So that's why when some people are getting divorced and they are not registered, they have a lot of problems because some lawyers, they do not accept our traditional nikah. And we know some men that they deny that they married according to Islamic law. I just had a case this month, a family issue, that they did not register their marriage, and they had only Islamic certificate. And although the lawyer wanted to have that Islamic certificate be translated into English and defend the right of that girl, but still, that's not sometimes good enough in the court of law. So what happened that fellow, the guy, because of property and assets and all that thing that they needed to split, he denied that she is his wife. He just denied that she is his wife. So he ignored his marriage, Islamic marriage, because of property and money and all these material stuff in our lives. So what I'm asking you, those of you who are planning to marry, before you do your Islamic marriage, you need to register your marriage in the state of Canada, in the United States, in Europe, anywhere you're watching this show. It is extremely important for you in order to defend your rights in case of divorce, because unfortunately, divorce is on the rise because we do not have any training how to become a good wife or how to become a good husband. And what is the purpose of establishing a family? What's the purpose of having a family? Why am I married? Why I'm establishing a family. What's the purpose of it? We do not know these things. We just like a girl, or we like a guy, and we marry without doing our homework. And marriage is a risk. In the beginning, a guy looked very, very nice, but later turned out to be a cuckoo. And by the same token, a girl could be very nice and this and that, but later she is not playing her role as a wife. And in the Quran, we clearly read that women are attired to men and men are attired to women. So this means that they have equal rights within the family. You can't make, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, you can't make a family just by one person. So you have to be two to make a family. So what I'm asking you in this program, first, is you guys need to do your homework very well. You need to communicate and talk over Zoom, over Skype, in person. It doesn't matter. In person, because there's nothing wrong according to Islamic law that you talk in person. And ask your questions. Any question you may have about the economic issue, about your individual freedom, about the relationship of you to his parents or her parents, how you conduct your lives. This is important. So you, instead of talking about what kind of marriage are you going to have and what kind of wedding are you going to have and what kind of limousine you are going to rent, you better talk about your future, what kind of couple you're going to make. And this is not really done by many of our youth to make sure that the fellow that she's marrying or the young lady that he is marrying answered all your questions. Even if you ask all those questions and get your answers and this and that, but again, there's no guarantee of a successful marriage, because once you live together, different things come up, and that's another phase of life that you face, that different things will come up. So, but again, you do need to do your homework right. You do need to do your homework right. Ask all your questions, both of you, men and women. And then once you decided to marry, you should decide to marry, not other people decide for you. There are many parents that they are deciding for their sons, and that's wrong. And there are many parents that they are deciding for their daughters. That's wrong. It is your life. You need to make a decision. Are you going to marry this guy or not? Don't let other people, including your parents, make a decision for you. It is good that you listen to your parents, their ideas, their feedback, and support. But actually, it's your life. So make sure that you make your decision. Those days 100 years ago that parents were choosing a girl for their son, or parents choosing a husband for their daughter, those are gone. We are living in a new age. We are living in an age of communication, consultation, and comprehension about the issues. And we are living in an age of decision making. Not just like buying a home or buying a car or this and that, but decision making about our own lives, about the guy that I'm marrying, or about the woman that I marry. So it's extremely important that you decide about your life. We have had many cases in the Afghan community that the girl was forced to marry someone, and later their marriage turned out to be a disaster. So don't commit to that. You are living in a new age. You are living in 21st century. You are a new generation with new approach in life. So make your own decision. This does not mean that you should not respect your parents. Listen to them carefully, but ultimately you need to make the decision. That's extremely important nowadays, that you take responsibility for your life. And before the nikah, and you also need to talk with, I'm talking about women, that you need to decide about your mahar. It's very important that you decide, nobody else. How much is your mahar or dowry? And that's an X amount of dollar or property that you demand. But since Islam is a deen of justice, you need to make sure that your fiancé is capable of paying that. It is very unjust, illogical, and stupid to demand things which is not capable of paying. So that's why Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that the minimum amount of mahr is the best. So that way he encouraged young men and women to marry. And also the material things, whatever that may be, will not bring you happiness. It's your happiness and harmony and peace is how you communicate your husband, how you love your husband, how you meet his demand and he meets your demand. This is what brings happiness. So make sure that you decide about your mahr or dowry, and he should accept it by heart. Now you have the choices to take it ahead of time. You'll take it later. Take 1/3 of it. These are all your decisions that we always explain during the time of nikah. But the most important thing in this program is about registration of your marriage within the state of Canada or United States or Europe, wherever you may be. You need to register your marriage. And another, so in case something happens, you could defend your rights legally. In the state of California, as I know very well, the laws in the state of California are not very much pro-women. That you do not know. Laws in the state of California are not pro-women. On the surface, we think they are pro-women, but it's not. For example, we had a case that a husband filed for divorce, and he did not have any income, and he did not bother to find a good job. He did not bother to get educated, but his wife did, and his wife purchased the property. His wife had a good income and all that. But when he filed for divorce, the law wanted to split the whole thing between the two. Well, that was not his property. That was not his assets. That was not his income. This is so stupid that the law dictates that, well, he is your husband and you have to split everything. Well, the husband didn't do anything in his life to gain anything or to earn anything or to work or to find a good job or get educated, nothing. But now when time the divorce comes, everything is split. And you can't change that unless we file a petition and gather so many signatures and send it to the state of California that they should change this law. And I'm planning to do that. Because this is totally wrong. But at the same time, right now, what is the solution? The solution is this, that if you girls or men, both of you, if you have some property of your own, if you have some assets of your own, both men and women, if you have some income, high income, and you have some savings, if you want to protect all these, you better go to a lawyer, pay him like $1,000 or something like that, more or less, and do prenuptial contract. Prenuptial contract. What is prenuptial contract? Prenuptial contract, it's a contract that both, either one can do it. A woman can do it or a man can do it. That in case of divorce, my assets are all protected and it will not be shared. If I own a home, that's my home, and my wife can divorce me, but she does not have access to my property, income, assets, or anything. By the same token, a woman can do that. She can get a lawyer and sign for prenuptial contract. And when you do that, if you have a saving, if you have a 401k, if you have a property, anything, it's all protected if you file for divorce. You just divorce him, but nothing will be split. 99.9% of men and women do not do this. And they have a lot of problem in the court of law. Because first, they did not register their marriage. Second, they don't have a prenuptial contract. And when the divorce comes, if everything is belong to the husband, it goes to his wife too. And if it belongs to the wife, it goes to the husband, which is unfair. To me, it's very unfair. Because if they work together, if they share the same income within the family, if they work together, that makes sense. But if one has not been working at all, and especially about men, that they are the provider, and he has not been able to provide, he has not been able to do anything for his wife or children, then how could he get half of her property and income and assets and all that? That doesn't make sense. So it is very important that not only you register your marriage, at the same time you file for prenuptial contract. This way you protect your income and property and assets and everything. So, and if you purchase a property, don't worry about taxes and all that. Some of us become so materialistic, material oriented, and we become so materialistic that sometimes we lie to the legal system because of a few dollars. That's not right. That's not Islamic. You shouldn't lie because of paying more taxes or less taxes and this and that. And some of you do not register your marriage because you think that if you buy a property, you may pay higher taxes. Well, we all pay taxes to support our society, our government. That's how the system runs. So this is an illegal issue that we lie to the system. We should not lie. We should not lie to the system. So that is why you need to make sure that you register your marriage, and at the same time, if you have assets and income and property and 401k, like retirement and this and that, sign a prenuptial contract. And do not lie to the system. And if your husband says, why we need to register, you don't love me, It's not a matter of love. It's a matter of legal issues. Put your love affairs aside, because your love affairs may fade away later. And sometimes, most especially men, discourage their fiancés, discourage their wives to register because they don't want to bind by legal systems in the future. And that's wrong. Of course, there is no law in the state of California, at least that I'm living in, that we are not obligated to register. But if we register, we not only have some legal documents, because Islamic nikah, it's not legal. It's just a traditional issue between Muslims. It's not a legal document. So when you register, you make your marriage official. And that is very important. The second thing, we are living in a civilized society. One of the components of a civilized society is census or population. How many people die? How many people are born? How many people are married? How many people divorced? This is very important for a civilized society. So the system accommodates enough fund for different purposes. If we do not know how many people are, how many people need hospitalization, how we could build a hospital. If we do not know the real population of a county or a state, how we could decide how many schools, elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools we need in that city or that county or that little town. It is because of census and counting of population that the system make all these good decisions. So if you consider yourself a civilized person and a member of this society, I strongly suggest that you register your marriage so the system know how many people are married in this country. It is good statistics for a lot of good purposes sociologically. In sociology, we do need a lot of numbers, a lot of statistics in order to make sound decisions. One of them is registration of marriage. That's why it is very important that people who die, they issue a death certificate. So the system know that, especially if he is on social welfare and social support and this and that, those funds will be accommodated to somebody else. So that's why we need to report that my mother or my father passed away, and thank you for all your help. And so they know that now that person is dead, so they stop. Of course, they will know that without we informing them, but it is good that we inform them about our marriage. I strongly believe that registration of marriage, just like anything else, sociologically speaking, it's an extremely important matter for a civilized society. But more important than this is when you file for a divorce and you have not registered your marriage, then you face a lot of problems. This case we had this month, in the month of June, in the beginning of June, because they didn't register, and the guy discouraged his wife to register. And when they filed for divorce, there was no document. And so they had the person who officiated the nikah, he had to reissue a statement or a certificate or a statement that yes, he did officiate the nikah between these two people or persons. So you save your lives. You how I should say it, with the registration, you solve a lot of problems for the future. And this is my advice to you that you need to consider when you are marrying in the state of Canada and you're marrying in the United States of America or Europe or anywhere in the Western world. Because we had a lot of problems simply because people are not registering their marriage. And my question is, why not? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of that you are not registering your marriage? An Islamic certificate, marriage certificate, it's not a legal document, it's a traditional document. It will not always, sometimes it does, because some very strong lawyers, they worked around it and convinced the judge that they are married. But we have cases in the state of California that even lawyers did not accept Islamic traditional marriage, and they said, this is not an Islamic country. Where is your certificate of marriage? Otherwise, you will be considered as boyfriend and girlfriend, nothing else. And now we have those beghairat men, that they even deny their marriage. They deny their nikah. How they could answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he dies. And these people who violate Allah's guidance in laws, I need to tell you, they will suffer in this world. They will suffer. They will face some problems, challenges. He will not see it as why these things happening to him. He sees it as his destiny. But that's not his destiny. He created his destiny by violating other people's rights. Because Allah may forgive you if you are praying or not praying, or you are fasting or not fasting. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive you if you violate people's rights. If you violate your husband's rights, if you violate your wife's right or your children's right. And this is some people facing a lot of problems during their lifetime. And they all hook it to destiny. That's not destiny. He created his destiny by ripping off some people, violating the rights of some people, and not returning some people's money. A lot of things he did against people, because this deen is deen of the people. I always telling you, this deen is a deen of the people. And you have to not violate people's rights in dignity and integrity in order to live in peace in this world. If you do violate, you will have different challenges because of your injustices. So, my strong advice to all young men and women in the state of Canada, United States of America, Europe, Australia, anywhere, is this: that register your marriage. If you, both men and women, have a lot of money and property and this and that, get a lawyer and sign for prenuptial contract and save it for the future, so you will be safe within your marriage too, because there's no guarantee for any marriage. there's no guarantee that you have a successful marriage. We all hope to have a successful marriage, but there's no guarantee. This was my program for today. I'll see you next week. السلام عليكم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. I'm Farid Younos.